The growth of the American oligarchy, from George Washington to the present day. Early foundations, George Washington and the Founding Fathers. The seeds of an American oligarchy were sown during the nation's founding. George Washington, the country's first president, was part of a landed elite, owning extensive plantations and hundreds of slaves. The Founding Fathers, including figures like Thomas Jefferson and Alexander Hamilton, were also part of a wealthy, educated class. Although they championed democratic principles, the early republic's political power was concentrated among affluent white men. The Constitution itself, with provisions like the Electoral College and the Senate, was designed to temper pure democracy, ensuring that power remained in the hands of a select few. The 19th century, industrialization and the rise of the robber barons. The 19th century saw the transformation of the United States from an agrarian society to an industrial powerhouse. This shift created unprecedented wealth for a new class of industrialists, often referred to as the robber barons. Figures like John D. Rockefeller, Andrew Carnegie, and J.P. Morgan amassed fortunes that rivaled the GDPs of entire nations. Their influence extended beyond business, as they wielded significant power in politics through lobbying and the funding of political campaigns. The lack of regulation allowed monopolies and trusts to flourish, concentrating economic power and wealth in the hands of a few. The early 20th century, progressive reforms and temporary checks. The excesses of the Gilded Age prompted a backlash in the form of the Progressive Era. Leaders like Theodore Roosevelt and Woodrow Wilson pushed for reforms to curb the power of monopolies and improve social conditions. Antitrust laws, labor protections, and the establishment of regulatory bodies like the Federal Trade Commission were aimed at reducing the influence of the oligarchy. Despite these efforts, the wealthy continued to wield significant power, adapting to new regulations and finding ways to influence political outcomes. The mid-20th century, post-war prosperity and the middle class. The period following World War II saw the emergence of a robust middle class, thanks in part to New Deal policies and the economic boom of the 1950s and 60s. Widespread prosperity and the expansion of social programs like Social Security and Medicare seemed to herald a more equitable society. However, even during this period, wealth and power remained concentrated. The military-industrial complex, as warned by President Dwight D. Eisenhower, exemplified the ongoing entanglement of economic and political power. Late 20th century, neoliberalism and the resurgence of the oligarchy. The late 20th century marked a significant shift with the rise of neoliberal economic policies. Leaders like Ronald Reagan in the United States and Margaret Thatcher in the United Kingdom championed deregulation, tax cuts for the wealthy, and the privatization of public services. These policies led to increasing income inequality and the consolidation of wealth. Corporations gained unprecedented influence, particularly through lobbying and political contributions. The financial sector, in particular, saw immense growth, with Wall Street firms exerting substantial power over economic policy. The 21st century, the tech oligarchy and growing inequality. In the 21st century, the rise of technology companies has created a new class of oligarchs. Figures like Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, and Elon Musk have amassed fortunes that dwarf those of previous eras. Their companies, Microsoft, Amazon, Tesla, and others, dominate global markets and wield significant influence over both the economy and politics. The Citizens United Supreme Court decision in 2010 further entrenched the power of wealthy individuals and corporations in politics by allowing unlimited political spending by corporations and unions. Economic inequality has reached levels not seen since the Gilded Age. The COVID-19 pandemic exacerbated these trends, with billionaires increasing their wealth significantly while many Americans faced economic hardship. The political landscape remains heavily influenced by money, with wealthy donors and corporate interests playing a pivotal role in shaping policy. Conclusion. The growth of the American oligarchy is a complex and multifaceted process, deeply intertwined with the nation's economic and political development. From the landed elites of the 18th century to the industrial magnates of the 19th century, and the tech giants of the 21st century, wealth and power have consistently been concentrated in the hands of a few. Despite periods of reform and progress, the fundamental dynamics of American oligarchy, where economic power begets political influence, have remained remarkably resilient. Addressing this entrenched inequality remains one of the greatest challenges facing the United States today.